What scientific fact scares the absolute shit out of you? The fact that your body can have advancing cancer and you wouldn't know it sometimes. Father-in-law's brother was walking through his kitchen and he fainted and hit his head on the counter. He was rushed to the hospital and they ran tests and he had stage 4 pancreatic cancer and his body was already in the endgame. He was dead within 2 months of diagnosis. That shit terrifies me and it can happen to anyone. Our white blood cells are fighting cancer cells on the daily. Space just in general. Or that bit about the Higgs field not being in true equilibrium and that returning to it would break everything as we know it. Your brain can just stoke out and die at any time. The fact that we can just get a blood clot and die and not realize anything was up. The human body has so many ways of just suddenly dying and it's terrifying. I don't remember what it was called. But there was an event in the 1800s caused by solar activity where telegraphs operated on their own without power and I think caused minor damage. Should such a solar event happen again, it would destroy all of our internet network capabilities and other electrical gear. Anyone know what I'm referring to? Edit. Carrington event. Thanks for the links. Prion diseases exist. Why do I click on this shit every fucking time? Question mark. That you could just have a brain aneurysm and die at any given time with no warning. Rabies. You can have it and never know until it decides it's time. And then you'll die terribly. That one day I will die. I don't know why, but sometimes at night, as I'm falling asleep, I suddenly think of this and it freaks me out. Like start feeling super anxiety. You can get non-buoyant water. I copied this comment from a post a while back and it freaks me out. In wastewater treatment plants they aerate the water so the bacteria breaking down the poo has plenty of oxygen. Due to the introduced air, the water density is low enough that a human body, or most any object that would normally float, will go straight to the bottom. The metaphysical aspect of consciousness. Where is consciousness? What is it? When does it really end? Where does it go when we die? When we sleep? How does it occupy our entire being without being physically present? We are quite literally the universe experiencing itself. In a fragile little bubble on a mote of dust in a sunbeam. And yet, what exactly are we? That's the sort of question that keeps me up at night. I don't fear death. I don't fear world annihilation. But I am deeply unsettled by the mere experience of being aware. The mere thought of what would happen if fire wasn't in the visible light spectrum. The fact that we could get hit by a coronal mass ejection at any moment. Every time you use an antibiotic, even for something mild like strep throat or bronchitis or traveler's diarrhea, you technically could get C. difficile infection from your wiped out gut flora. And that could end up a lingering, resistant infection that leads to colectomy or fecal transplant. Antibiotics are scary, and there's a reason doctors only want to prescribe them if absolutely needed. Edit. I'm sorry I wasn't able to respond to everyone. This comment got a lot bigger than expected. That I always end up on these fucking posts when I'm about to sleep, truly a scientific fact. Less scary, more mind-numbingly depressing, is the dark era of the universe. When all the star fuel is gone. And it will be. And all the white dwarfs have gone cold and dark. And they will. And all the black holes have evaporated away into elementary particles. And they will. The universe will be a cold, dark place. Forever. Mortality and immortality scare me. Like, I don't want to die because I love being here and my life is generally good. But what the fuck would I do for eternity? The Marianas Trench is so deep that you could fit Mount Everest in it. Even if you stand at the summit, there would still be about a mile of ocean above your head. Maybe not too scientific per se, but the fact that I could get hit by a car walking home from work and wake up in the hospital. Go on with my life. Meet the love of my life and get married. Have kids. And watch them grow into their teens and we all have a good life. Then one day I wake up in the hospital and find out I was in a coma and none of that was real. If you get scurvy, all of your old and new scars open up and bleed. Even ones that have healed fully and gone white. Horrifying if you've had multiple surgeries. Methanol contains very little carbon, so when it burns it's basically invisible. Can you imagine death by burning alive and no one can see the flames so they can't put them out? Your eyes have their own immune system, and if your brain ever figures that out, then it will eat away at them, turning you blind. A solar flare could really butt-fuck modern society. Cockroaches can live for up to a week without their head. Cockroaches can live for 5 months on wallpaper glue. Cockroaches can hold their breath for up to 40 minutes. Yes, I have catsauridophobia. That viruses cannot classify as a living organism and yet behave as if they are fully aware of their surroundings and evolve to suit it. They behave like they have a brain but are merely nucleic acids. Fascinated me since my first virology class. Fuck this whole thread. That I could be the only conscious being and everyone else my imagination, and I would never know. After looking through lots of comments, turns out that I can die from about 1 million things any second. Yay. There is a form of insomnia that foresees your body to never be able to sleep, and has a 100% fatality rate. Removed. The potential for false vacuum decay. It's possible that the vacuum state of our universe isn't really in its lowest state but is instead in a false low. If something were to cause the vacuum to decay to its true minimum somewhere in the universe, this would spread at the speed of light, and when it reached us we would simply cease to exist. No warning. No feeling. Just gone. That I'm 38 and this type of thinking leads you to very sudden scary things. But it's wildly more likely that the entire human race is going to slip into a state where it's extremely unpleasant to be alive within my lifetime. It's been a large deciding factor in me deciding that kids aren't for me. If I make 70, 32 years away, it's very likely life will be very unpleasant.